2017, January 22nd. I have more to say about the effects of an increase in interest rate on inflation and on the inflation. Recall the equation of exchange, MV equals PQ, when M is the nominal quantity of money, V is the velocity of money in final expenditures, P is the general price level, Q is an index of the quantity of the real value of final expenditures. To me, it is easier to think about it as the amount of real goods, sum of the amounts of real goods, instead of that word from Wikipedia. Anyway, the real stuff. Q represents the amounts of real stuff which money is needed for. So anyway, how does an increase in the interest rate affect each one of these variables? Again, it is complicated. M, nominal quantity of money. On this I talked about in part 1, so you can go and watch part 1. It dealt with the effects on M, both inflationary and deflationary. Now V, the velocity of money in final expenditures. It seems like, again, it is complicated, but when more money is needed in order to repay debt, then it seems like it encourages saving, and it does encourage saving just by giving a bigger amount of money on the currency being saved. Now, I use the words money and currency interchangeably. I all the time mean currency, fiat currency, because yes, I know that fiat currency is not real money. I will not say that only gold and silver are money. No, you could say platinum is money too, but this is not what I mean. Even I mean that to me any commodity can be money. If someone needs more oil than it needs gold, then why wouldn't oil be used as money? Yes, I know, because it is a worse store of value, because it weighs much more and it takes much more space. But I don't know. Suppose I don't know. Someone needs food. Suppose there was a very healthy food, which could be eaten in tiny amounts. So you could eat 10 grams, and it will make you healthy and full for a day. So why wouldn't such food be used as money? And suppose it had very long shelf life too. Suppose. Why wouldn't it be used as money? Why is it worse than gold or silver? So to me, any real commodity can be used as currency, not just gold and silver, not just precious metals. Anyway, the so when more money is needed to pay debt, and more money is funneled to saving, seems like that the effect on V is negative. Seems like it reduces V, which again is deflationary. But one can say that it should increase V, because when more money is needed in order to repay debt, maybe it has a positive effect on V. To me it seems like it is negative, which again is deflationary. The effects on P, because of the increase of the cost of debt, the effect on P should be, only according to this, it should be positive, which means inflationary. But then remember that not every entity has debt. Some people, some corporations don't have debt, so they are not affected by the rate hike, and they don't need to raise prices in order to repay their debt. And in fact, some entities may actually lower prices because they need the money so much, the currency so much, that they are willing to sell at any price just to repay their debt. So whether it is has a positive or negative effect on P, I don't know. Again, it depends. It is complicated. It is not this simple. So regarding P, I don't know if I don't know. And again, it requires so much more information to know whether it is inflationary or deflationary, even if only restricted to this aspect. Only if it only restricted to P, it is still complicated to tell if it is deflationary or inflationary. And the effect on Q, this in the short term, the effect on Q is null, because when a central bank changes an interest rate, it doesn't immediately cause destruction of real goods, and it doesn't immediately cause creation of real goods. This in the immediate term. In the longer term, again, it is complicated. Things can be triggered. Things are complicated, and by this way, it can cause destruction of real goods in complicated mechanisms. Not immediately. Immediately, it has no effect on the amount of real goods on Q. In the longer term, it can have positive, it can have negative effects, depending again on other factors not within this equation. So this equation is not a complete description of the economy. If you believe what I said so far in these videos, it is not even a complete description of inflation, because each variable in this equation is is affected by so many things, and a change in interest rate has more than one effect, and on each of these variables, and it has contradicting effects on each of these variables, at least on some of them. So it is not this simple. I repeat what I said in the previous video. You can't say just like that a rate hike is inflationary or that a rate hike is deflationary. You don't know unless you have enough information, which you probably don't have. Maybe maybe a central bank has it, maybe. Depending on which central bank and depending on which time. Sometimes it might have the sufficient information, sometimes the same central bank may lack the sufficient information in order to know how will a rate hike or a rate decrease affect inflation or deflation in its country. So again, bye for now.